swords and let us give all a swirl. Oh, ba-da-da-ba-ba-de, ba-da-da-ba-ba-de. Across the ocean, it's more than just a goddess. We all need one another. Oh, oh.
Yes, time for another academy, another informative exercise here. The way we do it on the Daybreak Show, Rock City 101.9 FM. Citizens Forum is about 17 minutes down the hour of 9. Yes, we are going to engage ourselves once again in issues around us. Okay, the meeting officially ended yesterday, the Southwest Governors meeting, and expectedly they've given us their points agenda, action point agenda, the one they call communique issues they agreed on. Very friendly atmosphere. The report has told us, particularly if you look at the undercurrent events, political partisanship before now between Oshun, Oyo, and then if you look at Ekiti State and the other states, and of course, welcoming the new governor, uh, Rotimi Akeredolu Ale, into their midst. It was a friendly atmosphere, the one that radiated opinion that this could be it since uh, the bringing down of the then Western Nigeria. Well, again, the issue, the talk about restructuring is still on. Perhaps this is a clear agenda, is a clear pointer to the fact that restructuring models are being fashioned out the way it will go. We don't have to fight each other over whether we want to live together or not, even when we decide that we want to be living separately as individual or separate nations or country. We don't have to shed any blood about that. Perhaps this will be the uh, guiding rules or area to follow to achieve that, what the governors are doing in the different regions. All right, a communique has been issued what they want to do. I remember yesterday somebody, okay, I think it was Senator Adefuye who advised that a long, short, and medium term projects should be highlighted and specifics should be given 25 years middle so that even when this set of governors leave, the project will continue. We'll be going through that agenda. We'll see how feasible it will be, how achievable they can be, what are the unseen or the likely stumbling blocks that could crop up. The life itself is full of uncertainty. So, what are those uncertainties that may come up against it, and what are the inside issues about it as regards politicking, partisan politics? How will it likely affect these issues, this community raised? That's what we'll be looking at on the Citizens Forum this morning. Dele Ayodo remains my name.
And I am Chienye Egwuonwu saying good morning and welcome to Citizens Forum. And then to take you back, we remember the areas of the common interest for that particular meeting was on security, education, agriculture, infrastructure, then the rail and road networks. And then quickly to the communique. It talked about security, setting up a body to fight insecurity. That is a joint security committee to check on kidnappers, headsmen, and cultism. Then it also has it's approved setting up of a joint task force and action to contain all forms of security threats in the region to ensure safety of lives and property as well as prosperity of the people. And then it also declared a zero tolerance for crime and criminality in the region. And then the Dawn Commission was also told to develop a 25-year master plan development, while all the regions in the state were also encouraged to improve bilateral and multilateral cooperation to foster regional development. And then for food security, they directed the Dawn to convene a regional agri summit which is to be held in Ibadan. And then they also approved the establishment of the Western Nigeria Export Development Initiative to drive the export potentials of the region. And then there should be synergy between the Dawn Commission, the Odua Group, and other critical stakeholders to allow for commercial and industrialization competitiveness. That's that for the communique.
All right, yes, and of course, we have somebody here with us who is an entrepreneur, academic in his own right, educationist, Professor David Femi Bamgbose. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning, listeners. Good morning, everywhere.
All right, Professor Bamgbose, done, by the way, means development agenda for Western Nigeria. If you look at the communique, you should expect the areas in which they want to cooperate and work upon. Especially, we have security, we have agriculture, we have transportation, we have education. Those are to you, is there any key area that has been left out?
Let me give it to the governors. I want to say that the presence of the governors without any one of them sending a representative is a good signal for us in Southwest. They have demonstrated their political will. Of course, I would have loved a situation where we look at a mineral deposit, we look at finance and a whole lot of things. But with those five major agendas that they want to talk that they have talked about and come up with, it's a good beginning.
Well, it's a good beginning. Should I take that as meaning that you have not seen any area, um, major area that has been left out?
That's as I said. I I I will envisage a situation whereby the key into area of research and communication technology. Looking forward to a development that will take care of our abundant mineral deposit in the southwest. And probably look at financial engineering. You know, how do we bring our people in diaspora, people inside, to develop, a financial model? Because most of these agenda they are talking about, we need a lot of money. I still want um, a very strong action in that direction. But talking about education, agriculture, security, these are very, very key.
Okay, now these are key areas. Without sounding as a pessimist, again, these are good points on paper, but achieving them, the feasibility of making these things work will still have to be tested. For instance, testing it, they will need continuity in what do they call it when these political parties are campaigning and they come out with what they want
Manifestos.
Manifesto of this area. From the 6 states, aside from Lagos, that has achieved relative continuity in political manifesto and governance. The other five, since 1999 so far, appeared to have been fumbling and wobbling, changing from one color white to another color. Ekiti is a good example. Ondo State is another example, and of course, Osun State is another example. If you look at this and using it to look at the future, how do you think they'll be able to achieve this in the next 25 years like they've mapped out?
Now, there are key issues that we need to look at. There is the political integration and there is economic integration. Now, you talked about restructuring the other time, which will need a constitutional action, amendment, change. What our governors have done now is to look at a framework within the existing constitution the low-hanging fruit. What can they do with this existing framework? Eventually, this country will need to restructure to put in place political will for us to have a very strong federating unit. Now, let me say this. Governor Egwuonwu of Osun State said, what the six governors have achieved as separate states cannot be quantified, and it's not commensurate with when we had a government in Southwest Nigeria. So, like you said, there is political will. But if you look at what is happening in developed nations,
Sorry, that political will is what have not been tested. Because the truth about governance in Nigeria today is that the project is determined, identified, driven, and sometimes implemented by the political leader, specifically the governor. And that is why we have not had consistency
and continuity. Yeah.
in all this thing. These are issues that will be there at least for the next 3 elections, which means about half of the year they've marked out. So if this is so, how do you think that political will can come to play positively?
We are aspiring to be better. We have models and examples that we can follow. If you look at America, let me give you an example. America or European Union now. You have political parties changing, when you see the Democrats coming in, you see the Republicans coming in. But they all key into developmental plan, long term, and they work towards it. Let me say this. The governors have commissioned to come up with a 25 years developmental plan. There'll be time for us to rise above petty politics and all these things that divide us. It will be a guiding document if it is properly done. I'm not sure of the capacity of that commission to do that. I'm looking forward to them, because, for an example, if you want to do a geological survey of a mineral deposit, so to say, in Ogun State now, where we think we have oil, it requires tremendous amount of money to do. So I am saying that, yes, let them put in place a developmental plan. You see, Yoruba, we are the most educated and enlightened people in Nigeria. It will be a document to test the developmental driven agenda of any governor that is coming in. You see, it's better to have a plan than not to have a plan at all.
That's right.
Whether the plan will be implemented or not, let us put a vision. Let us have a vision. That vision will drive a lot of things. I want to submit that, yes, we will still have our politics. We will still have our politics. Political issues, but as we go along. For an example, if you see them, yesterday, the governor of Ekiti State was there. We are talking about regional economic, integration and development. Why will he stand alone? Can he do it alone? So can Ekiti State alone stand and not? You see, all of us, we have a lot of things to gain from Lagos. From the financial strength in Lagos, from the population in Lagos. And there is a need for us to come together. I don't want to be pessimistic. I am optimistic. Even though the quality of the plan may not be, the depth of what we expect, it's still a good step in the right direction.
Okay, if we are looking at integration now, we're still looking at integration. Why would Lagos State go to collaborate with Kebbi State in the issue of making lake rice?
Yeah.
What of Osun State? And then let's look at agriculture now. Agriculture, you were talking about funding. And then agriculture, most times the farmers practice subsistence farming. And if we're talking about economic growth, that will not be enough. We'll have to go into commercial farming. And then we'll need tractors, we'll need a whole lot of things.
Equipment.
Will governors be able to fund this?
Definitely, let me submit that the quality of the report they are going to come up with will determine a lot of things. You know, if anybody wants to get involved as a stakeholder in a project, we look at the feasibility, the continuity, the consistency. Like, my brother said, you see, but you see, when you are talking about um, economic integration, it requires getting expert. We are not going to depend on potential and expert in the southwest Nigeria alone. We are going to get them wherever they are. Let me give you an example. You want to do oil exploration, and you want somebody to explore. We need companies with technical, know-how, with reputation, which I am not sure we have it in Southwest. So we expect Dawn Commission to contact such organizations wherever they are, because the report they are going to write will depend on whether the investors will buy into that project or not. All right. Now, coming into agriculture that you mentioned, I expect that we should do a map of our comparative advantage in Southwest. Where do we have the land? What are the soil test? What can they best suitable to produce for us?
Okay, that's the texture of the soil.
Yes, there's soil test that they must do, and then let me say this: the financial problem that we have today is because Ogun State we would like to do it on its own. Lagos want to do it. By the time we come as an economic hub, because this is not political restructuring; it's about economic integration. Then we become attractive to funding from private organization, from stakeholders, from our people in diaspora. Do you know that recently when they floated diaspora bond, it was oversubscribed in Nigeria? The amount of quantum of money that our people in diaspora are sending into Nigeria every year is more than the half of our national budget. But people will not buy into something that is not well tested, well researched, well produced. So I think with the commissioning of that organization to do the report, they need now to stand up and make sure that they get the best hand wherever. They should rise above partisanship, partisan politics. Get the best hand wherever they are, whether they are Nigerians, whether they are Yorubas, whether they are Americans, and then we come up with a report that can stand the test of time.
Okay, let's also delve into the issue of education. Yeah. Let's speak on LAUTECH issue. They're having funding issues. And then we found out that between Oyo and Oshun, there is no one who wants to fund LAUTECH. And then Oyo went ahead to have its own private university. And then all that is being centered around that university. What happens to LAUTECH? And then can one also point out that the LAUTECH funding crisis that has been on for years now, and say that the joint state projects in the southwest are not sustainable in the long term?
Okay, let me say this. The issues raised by my brother here, Mr. Dele, is about political will. And what is happening in LAUTECH is a very strong indicator of what can happen when we have joint projects. But you see, the project we are talking about here is not social services, it's economic. And we'll be driven by economic rules and regulation. We are not saying that our government should start businesses. No. Like the way they are running Odua Investment Company is not. If you look at their last balance sheet, the whole conglomerate coming up with an income of about 500 million in a year is highly undesirable. But what we want them to do is to develop the platform, is to develop the programs, so that there will be a buy-in by people, buy-in by financial organization, so that those projects, the project will take a life of their own, and will be run in a sustainable way by economic laws, economic rules and regulations. They can come up with the idea, but let's take it to the stock exchange. Let's take it to the financial market. Let's see whether people will buy into it. If the quality of what you are bringing is good, then investors will come. Okay, so it's a lot different from the social services that we do. Sorry, education can be viewed as social services to the people, and can also be viewed as business. Okay, in Ghana today, the Ghanaian citizen, goes to the tertiary institution and pay peanuts. But when international students comes in, they pay a lot of money. I'm telling you, an average Nigerian in Ghana pays as much as 1 million naira per session.
More than 1,000% of what the Ghanaian citizen is paying.
And then we have over 100,000 of our citizens in Ghana. So while we can make it affordable or even free for our own people, we can develop our educational system that will attract people from all over the world, and then make it an economic activity in that.
Now, Professor Bamgbose, would it have been strained this if the Dawn Commission stuck with just the economic development? When they go into talking about security, into education, we know this will need policies. It will need implementing those policies. I agree they have demonstrated strong and good political will to do this. Let's talk about the finance. That can't be like the Yoruba adage, we say there can't be money says if it's not there, don't talk about anything business. There can't be any developmental agenda or success if there's no money.
Yes.
Now, Western region had one chief executive officer. There was just one accounting officer for the Western region and one bank account for the Western region. Today, the Western Nigeria had 6 different chief executive officers, 6 different bank accounts, or more, minimum of 6. With each states, we know the disparity between what they earn from the federal allocation and their IGR. There is an elder, there's a giant, and of course, there is somebody that could be regarded as a Lilliputian, if you want to say it literally, between the 6 of them. How do you think they will be able, because we are looking at feasibility of some of these policies they are coming out to do, the communicate issue. How do you think they will be able to balance, achieve, operate this financial balancing in Dawn?
You see, incidentally, you are talking about policy making. You are talking about laws and regulation. Like I said, they can only operate within the existing framework now. This is not the ideal, and we need to say it. Ideal thing is when we have political restructuring, so that the economic agenda can be driven by a political, strength and framework, which we are still expecting. We are hoping. I mean, it is the in thing now that this country must restructure. But thank God that they did not wait until they have the ideal. They want to work with the situation now. And then there are existing models. Let me take European Union as an example today. You have a Britain, you have a France, you have that is ruled by different president, different prime minister and government. But they have economic integration. They have the same currency. They have the same, market. And they have some policies that that have been ratified. So all we need to do now is that when they come up with their program, it must be ratified by the governors and the House of Assemblies of the 6 states in the western of Nigeria. Let them, for example, if you want to go to the financial market, you want to process bond now, or you want to get a loan from a commercial bank, the bank will require a buy-in, a signature, a confirmation and approval of the State House of Assembly, saying that even if this governor should go and another governor comes in, the allocation of that state, what is due to that bank, will continue to come. And once the financial organization have that kind of instrument, they release the money to the state government. And that loan may not expire in the lifetime or the tenure of the incumbent. But if a new governor comes into the office and want to renege on that agreement, he's going to have a lot of litigation. He's going to have a lot of issues. So, I want to say that once there is a buy-in, once those agreements, the development plan have been ratified by State House of Assembly, and you see, when you say you have small state, you have big state. No, it is because we did not explore our comparative advantage. If you are small now, what is your potential? Ekiti state is small in terms of financial strength and whatever, but they have landmass. Can't we go and do agriculture in Ekiti state and develop that state? So I want to submit to you that yes, for somebody, a professional and an organization like this, you need to test what these people are saying, whether they are just making political statements. But my strong advice to our people is that let us monitor, let us see how we can encourage our incumbents. Once they have shown that we want to do this, let's encourage them to continue and to work on this. I think Western Nigeria will be better for it.
Okay, let's look at the development plan now, taking us back to when we had the era of Chief Awolowo.
Yeah.
And then we remember that out of the 6 governors that attended this meeting, 5 of them are APC members. Should we say this is a continuation of that particular developmental plan that Chief Awolowo put in place years back?
I don't think this is about APC or PDP or HABGA or any party. You see, when you are talking about Chief Obafemi, our highly revered sage, Chief Ayodo, he was a man of tremendous vision. Okay? It's not about, it's about having a long-term plan, program. When he came up with free education in the Southwest, it was because he had something in mind. And all of us are, living witness of the effect of that decision now. So this is about Yoruba, Southwest Nigeria. It's not about one party. If you look at the manifestos of the party, if you look at the manifesto, the late Obalagi said they are leprous hand of 3 fingers of one. The manifestos are not different. Go and look at it. You cannot see a radical difference in the manifestos of parties. A politician use parties as platform to gain power. It is not most of them are not ideological. They are not. When you bring them and ask them to tell you 10 items on the manifesto of their party, they cannot tell you. So I'm trying to tell you that it's not about ideology. It's about the fact that there is a need for us to come together. Already, states are having difficulty paying salary. So what are we talking about? So the must is a must. It's not because they like to come together. It is imperative that they have to do it now. And that's how they are.
All right, it's about 11 minutes to the hour of 10. We are looking at on Citizens Forum this morning, doing an x-ray of the communicated position, the policy position of the meetings of the Southwest governors held yesterday under the development agenda for Western Nigeria. and we have an educationist and entrepreneur with us, Professor David Bamgbose. Professor Bamgbose, apparently, whatever or no matter how lofty this idea looks at, there are some national issues that must be considered. The sensibility of the larger Nigeria and tinkering with some issues to achieve this. Education, they've told us, is one of the things they want to tackle, and we know that we have what is called the National Education Policy, formulated by the National Council on Education. These are constitutional issues. Transportation, security issues. We know largely all our major security apparels are controlled under the exclusive list, that is the federal government. They will need all this to work. If in a situation, this is Nigeria and from the past experience, where we have a federal government, just like we had between 1999 and 2003, that is different from the government in the Southwest. Like you said, well, no different in political ideas, but the truth about whose driver, the agenda of the driver, his dream is different from what we have. How are they going to ensure that this does not collapse? These are the worries of many Nigerians, because we cannot come and say this is an education policy only for the Southwest. We cannot say this is just a security policy only for the Southwest if it did not key into that of the federal government of Nigeria.
Thank you. You see, for an example, if you take education is on concurrent list. So it means that federal, parliament can legislate on education and state
Can also,
also legislate.
by the security, transportation rules.
I'm coming to that. You see, for an example, if you look at Nigerian Railway Act now, that act grants monopoly to Nigerian Railway Corporation to maintain all rail lines in the country. It's an impediment. But no,
including right of railways.
Everything about rail. I just use that as an example. So what they are supposed to do now is to get a concession, right? A concession from the Nigerian Railway, Corporation, empowering Southwest State to do what we need to do. I know and I agree with you. Our national law, the constitutions, the laws, it looks like a unitary form of a government. But we cannot wait. Let's see what we can do within the existing legal framework. And also, for an example, if the law gives all mineral deposit to the federal government, that only the federal government can approve,
can even do any mining in any
state. But a state government can go as a private entity, are getting their concession and get concession from federal.
But the rules of the business is still being determined by the federal government.
No problem.
So even if the Western Nigeria is granted concession, but the rules of the business will still be determined by the federal government of Nigeria.
For example, the bitumen in Ondo State now. Ondo State have been granted the concession to mine that bitumen. So if what I'm saying is that we cannot, like I said,
because part of why we are doing this to educate people, and then areas that appeared salient and silent, we bring it out. You mentioned Ondo State. If Ondo State has been granted concession
on bitumen.
Yes. But you know that export policies is still likely that of the federal government.
Yes.
So that means Ondo State cannot on its own for instance, determine how much it's going to sell,
Yes.
and may not even be able to determine how much is even going to extract, and other policy issues like that, which translates to an impediment
Okay. I,
on the attempt.
I seriously recognize those impediments. I'm not saying we as a people must push seriously for political restructuring in Nigeria, whereby power will be devolved to the state or the region, so to say. I don't know.
And there we will go. That takes me to that question. That takes me to that question. Is this also not an agenda to prepare the region for what is being called is it fiscal federalism, restructuring, devolution of powers, or whatever it is called?
I'm not sure.
Politics in play.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Ensuring that the Southwest Nigeria is not left out of the movement.
I'm not sure whether by the time we finish the restructuring exercise, whether we are going to have a single political federated entity in Southwest. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether Lagos will want to submit their, sovereignty to, and then we start going to Ibadan as the capital. I'm not sure, but I'm sure that we are going to give more power to the state, and then states that want to merge of their own accord can follow a constitutional pattern through a referendum and merge. It is part of the report that is already on the table. Whether this government want to consider it or not is another thing. But the people have decided that it must be considered. But what I'm saying is that yes, in anticipation of something, we should start something now. We should not wait until the ideal come. Like I gave the example of bitumen and Ondo State. I am saying yes, it will not be the perfect thing. But let them kick off. Let's start getting the concessions now. Let's start getting the concession for our rail line from Lagos to Ekiti. Let's start getting the concession of all our mineral deposits from Lagos to Ondo. Let's start getting those things prepared. Let us have our plan in place. And that's what I think the governors have started.
Okay. What is the assurance that this is not another jamboree?
Madam, well, let me advise the people. We can own this. We can own this. We can own this vision. Hijack it from them. Okay?
How do you do that?
All right. And you see, let me tell you, there are certain things when people initiate it. It is not about politics now. It's about the people of the Western region. Let everybody begin to talk about this and monitor with the people. The people, we are the owner, and that's the only way for us to ensure that this lofty program is put in place in the first instance, and that they implement it, and they continue with it.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we'll need to take a break for the national news at 10, but in the meantime, just begin to send your messages via the short code 32120. First you type rock, you leave a space, type your message, include your name, and then send it to 32120. Or the Twitter handle at Rock City FM, and our Facebook fan page, Rock City 101.9 FM.
Indeed, yes, we are on a green land, particularly in the southwestern Nigeria. 6 states we have there: Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Osun, Ekiti, and Ondo states, forming what they call development agenda for the western Nigeria, or for the western Nigeria. Is actually different from the western region. The western region of then has, I think in whole, the entire Edo and Delta states made up the western region, and in part areas we call Kwara and Kogi states today made up the then western region. So there are two different entities. However, as the call for restructuring physical changing, constitutional amendment, secessionist on the high side, and of course separatist ideas grows in the country. The need for each region to begin to focus and talk like brothers, kinsmen is also growing the more. The Northeast region is talking, the Northwest are talking, so also is the North Central, even though they are the only region in the country that the cohesion is not as strong as the other region, at least in terms of what they say to us. South are talking, and Southeast strongly too, particularly from the mouth of their young ones in the different individual and groupings that we have in the Southeast. So the need, the idea of a Southwest agenda, a lot of people have also hailed. That has also been underlined or emphasized with the meeting held yesterday here in Ogun State, and the postering we saw from the governors is like indeed Odua Tokon was what they displayed. We are doing an x-ray of that communique issued after that meeting, what they intend to achieve, their plans, and we are asking questions. How do you think this could be achieved? The feasibility of those agenda they've rolled out, at least for the next 25 years. They've told us they will cooperate on integrating the states in the area of security, cooperation, education. They have also told us agric is there, transportation is also there, and of course they've set up an export promotion commission that will work to ensure that produce from this region begins to get foreign attention. Again, how this will work in practicality and reality are issues that have not been cleared. This is where we are and what we are looking at, and we have with us an entrepreneur and educationist. Well, once upon a time he jumped into politics. I don't know if he has jumped out of politics again. Professor David Bamgbose. All right. Chienye was talking about the then Western region, the then Western Nigeria ideas and ideas of the late stage of Femi Awolowo, and then the present one. Even the ease and possibility of having it materialized. That is where we are now.
Incidentally, let me tell you that the agenda of secession is a long truth. Nobody, we want one Nigeria, but we want a restructured Nigeria where the federating unit will be very, very strong, and then can determine their future, their aspiration, and a vision. Now, yes, we are saying that okay, when it was the vision of one man who was highly visionary, the late said Chief Awolowo lived beyond, he was not for that time. When you see most of the things that that man put down and said, you will see a futuristic, visionary leader. He was a long-term thinker. Okay? But we are not saying that if we don't have that kind of rallying point now, and then we have these people coming together, let them develop a vision. Even if it's just for 25 years. Yes, the reality on ground is that you see, politicians, if I start a project now and somebody else come, he will look at it from personal interest and will not look at the overall interest of the people. And that's why we have problem with continuity of projects in Nigeria, in our states. Okay? Because I want to see it is from the project that I will recoup my investment, my spending in pursuing political, seat and position. So how can I recoup that money if I have to continue with the project started by somebody else? We have those problems in personal interest. We have our constitutional and national constraint, like you said. But then, it is important for us to know the power of vision, of having a long-term program. I am interested in the quality of work that will be done by the commission.
All right, yes, we have to we have to permit you to be part of it, and John, let's have your own questions from Professor David Bamgbose. Let's have your thoughts via.
Dr. Uncom, I'm calling from a Sir, I watched that Dawn Commission and I could see a paradox. We now want to come together, Oyo, Ogun, Ondo, but we want Ekiti State. We want Ibadan State. The people who are saying we should come together are the people fighting for Ekiti, Jebu State, and all that. I see a paradox there. Do we really know what we want? Are we not the people breaking down and restructuring? We must have this, we must break down, and then now saying we want political activism. It doesn't make sense to me, sir. Go to Oyo State. When Oyo State was divided into Oyo State, and see what happened to workers who are originally from Oyo State, what happened to them? They were treated like lepers. And then they are now talking, after that, we now have regional integrity. I have to talk about agriculture. What are we talking about? We are still talking of regionalism now. We are in a state of flux. We are always talking and trying to give what I would call intellectual content to what actually are going intellectual content, whatever. We don't need to see how Ogun State and Oyo State will have, we need to meet, governors need to meet for them to integrate. We are already integrated, sir. This is what the integration is all about, if you ask me. And we're talking of now even breaking up. Brexit is, I'm sure if they had an opportunity to talk about Brexit now, I'm sure they would think to us. Look at what is happening to the pound. Look at what is happening to the economy. And we here, that is a developed economy where things are tipped up. We are not talking about backwater economy. In fact, no economy at all. You want to break up because we have oil. Oil is the main thing. Oh, come on. I think, Prof, we should educate people that it's not like that. It doesn't sound that rosy. If we break up in this country, none of the components parts will survive. Whether it's Igbo, whether it's Igbo, yes, which is not going to happen. If it happens, none of the component parts can exist. What are we talking about? I think we should educate our politicians that they should find some other things to discuss.
All right, thank you. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, morning.
Good morning, Mr. Dele. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning.
Good morning.
From Abeokuta. Mr. Dele, one of the 5-point agenda is on the food security as you have highlighted. These are key aside security issue, which is a pervasive problem, is the hallmark of that meeting. Food security is the availability of food all year round to households and at affordable price. With lack food security, time, the issue is to be addressed and the summit is to be held in Ibadan, as I have said.
Hello, Mr. Oluwabi. Hello.
Are you still there?
Okay, you can call back. You can call back. We'll permit you to call back. Let's add another voice.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I am Mr. Olakilani from Abeokuta. Before I talk on done, first of all, I want to talk on restructuring. This question of restructuring does not necessarily mean secession. Some people are really want to secession because of certain section of the country dominating the others. But restructuring will really solve the problem. We make it the way we practiced it between 1960 and 66 when the army struck. If we do it that way, the economy will be in the right footing. If we do it that way, this dumb program will be successful. In that case, that was 1966. Remember, we control our economy. East region was controlling its economy. And if we want restructuring to be in good footing, we need to reduce, do away with 36 states. Let us go on provinces. Say to have 6 or 8 provinces. Now, I praise these state governors coming together. If they do it in good faith, it will succeed. But I say we should try to reunite. Discrimination is still among the Yorubas. For instance, Oyo State does discriminate against Ogun and other states in the areas of employment. All this should go if you want this program to succeed.
Thank you.
These are my submissions. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We
Morning.
can hear you.
Yeah, good morning, Prof. And my brother and sister there. I remain for Akinyemi.
Okay, thank you for
Yeah,
calling.
I think, honestly speaking, coming together of these six governors, I do appreciate it. It's a very good omen, and I believe it will foster unity. And luckily, they have identified areas of collaboration, security in particular. In the West now, western part of the country, security is at the lowest ebb, and it has to be strengthened. We know all these things. But the problem is that I want to pray that partisan politics, partisanship will not disintegrate, will not at least put them off their track. It is very necessary that we come together. And I want also to advise that they should go back to the archives to look at the blueprint of the late sage, Papa Awolowo. I am optimistic that we are likely to make a headway. So we don't need to be pessimistic about the whole thing. And then the comments of people, they're very, very important. And I believe we should be very positive. We don't need to discourage them. It is necessary. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you very much.
All right. Can't be different. There's nothing wrong in it. That's why we will continue to discuss. All right. We'll take a hold on away from the telephones for some time now. Professor Bamgbose, let's get your reaction.
Yeah, thank you very much. Mr. Ayodo was talking about the fact that the action of the governor was propelled by the election that is coming. I know as a people we have become very pessimistic, suspicious of our leaders.
If that is true, Faiche won't be among them.
We have, because of the fact that certain promises have been made in the past and they have not been fulfilled. So people are, when they see anything new, they read a lot.
High sense of mistrust.
They read a lot of meanings to it. They want to find out what is the underlying, factor, what is the political, something. But let me say this, as a people, even if it is the election that has, propelled this action of the governor, let us take it, work with them, hone it as stakeholders. It shows that people in the political terrain are reading the mind of the people and they want to work in line with it. So I don't want us to look at it as okay, well, but whatever. If somebody is a bad person today, is now saying something correct today, let us embrace this man and see what we can do. He talked about a 25 years program that is too long. No, it is not about. It is a 25-year program that has a roadmap, a timetable. What they're asking them to do is to tell us what we do from 0 hour to the 25th year. So it's not just something that we are expecting. There will be some low-hanging fruit that must be plucked. For an example, if somebody is talking about mineral, development, it's a long-term investment. It is financially, cumbersome, intensive. But we can start with annual crops, agriculture. We can start with some, so that there are things that can be done. And I know that plan, if it is well packaged, well done, we show what we need to do now, what we need to do in the next 1 year, and what we need to do in the short term, in the medium term, and the long term plan. Dr. Income was talking about state proliferations and people that are agitating for state creation.
As a paradox.
As about that, okay, if we are saying that we want to restructure, we want regionalism, and some people are saying we should break up, with the state and all the rest, I know that nobody is talking about secession. If some people are saying it, they are in the minority. Let's throw it to a referendum, a national referendum. I know majority of
No, he's not talking about secession. So that's why I use the word paradox, that if states, governors are saying we are cooperating, we are integrating, and then we have some groups within that state who also want to separate themselves from the existing state. So how do you reconcile these positions?
Everybody have the right to self-determination. And that's why we need to look at all this agitation. Nigeria is a beautiful country. We have about over 250 ethnic groups. We are, we are diversified. So, there's a need for us to look at those agitation. And I think if you look at a regional federating unit, and we go back to the provinces like we used to have, those provinces can be the third tier of government. We cannot stop those agitation. We must accommodate it. Somebody talked about food security, and the man, I hope he can call back to let us know what is all. Mr. Kilani was just trying to talk about discrimination among states and so on and so forth. And yes, that's why we need all this coming together, this unity, so that we can reduce those things that separate us and bring us together. Um, Partisanship, political partisanship, we can't rule out politics. And my advice to people is that whenever we need to put in place people in position, we must look at the pedigree, the antecedent of such people. Are they development driven? Because eventually, like you said, it is not the party manifesto, it is the vision or the plan and program of the governor that drives everything in the state. So it's very important. And somebody was speaking about divine and rule, discrimination, that we have been talking on radio. We will continue to.
He appeared frustrated.
We will continue to talk. We must talk. For example,
we should continue.
We must. Let me say, we have been talking about restructuring for a long time now, but it's just gaining traction. If we had stopped, maybe the people that want to give it to us now, we say, they are not really serious. So until the desired change come, we just have to continue.
All right, let's check out messages, please.
This one from our day.
Quickly, I think this is what happened. We have done a state because they have a director general,
it's a commission,
and it's a commission, and of course those meetings will now be the governor, Western Nigeria governor, Southwestern Nigeria governors forum, which will formulate policies for them to implement.
Okay, Cosmos, you have that. Then the agenda is fantastic, but should be handled with cautions as for other sections like the federal government, not to see it as indirect practicing of regional government in disguise, if at all the marriage will last for 4 years, let alone 25 years proposed. It's a good idea but can succeed if only the 6 states will be controlling under the same party. Presently, with Fayose of Ekiti, I'm afraid if he won't destroy the good intentions of other 5 states.
Sorry, let's give it to let's assess him from his last performance. His last performance, please, not his intended performance that has not been made public. But let's assess him from his last performance.
We should take this from politics, from partisanship.
So,
So, because if you are saying that you cannot take people from other parties, it must be one political party. You are saying another. So it's different.
Okay. With this export commission they are putting in place, are they bringing back cocoa board to the Western Nigeria? Tunde from Igbogila is asking that question. And then switching over to the tweets on our Twitter handle, we have this one from Yemi Da Vinci. I'm not calling for secession, but that we Yorubas must be well prepared for any political eventuality, either the status quo or regionalism. But I agree that a 25-year development plan is very key if we want to prepare for a possibility of the Republic of Yorubaland. The Dawn Commission, the only person who I trust his motive about the whole thing was their head, who sadly died this year. That's still from Yemi Da Vinci. Then we have Professor Agbola AAA. For me, the meeting was a political jamboree. The governors are not sincere and we're not fools. The meeting was the third with no results. Akorede Camille, what about continuity? What will happen when this set of governors are gone? It's easy to talk about a 24-year plan. Akorede Camille still, mere talk will not convince the people. What we desire is action, otherwise nothing to achieve. This is the third time of meeting. Then we have Surakat Abiodun on this one. I hope this will not be another avenue to siphon the limited resources available. They should make efforts to offset salaries. Then we have this one from billionaire Ajishafe, predicated on technological investment in agriculture, tourism, culture, and leadership. Long live hashtag Oduduwa Nation. And then still from billionaire Ajishafe, the Southwest Governor's agenda is a white paper in the wind. My take is the driver of the future of the Southwest is human development. And then we have this one from Dolani Robert. My take is all their deliberations should be planned. It should be strategized and later implemented for the betterment of our economy and citizenry. That's from Dolani Roberts. Okay.
So we go back and take the calls. Hello.
Professor, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
I think, yes, you should give kudos to our governors for putting this on the table. Yeah, of course, you can't go back to regional government again. Hello?
We can hear you. Go on.
Yes. You can't go back to regional government again. This is the only formal way you can do it. There's no way you can destroy all these structures on ground of states. Having said that, yes, if you start this way that at 15 states, I'm telling you, at the end of the day, it won't work. Let's follow the European Union way. There's some states now, probably maybe let's say 3 states. The other 3 states will be just unofficial. I mean, they will be members, but they will not be direct members. Turkey wanted to join European Union all these days. It has not been able to join it. Why? They get some conditions. So there's some that are not ready in terms of infrastructure, in terms of many things. So that arrangement should be there. If you have 3 states that will be active, the others will struggle to join. Once you say, okay, if you say maybe all commerce something, I'm telling you, it will not work. Then again, without administrators, these governors on their own, they will not be able to do it out. European Union have people that are running European Union, and the other countries are running on their own. You should follow that template.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. We have less than 6 minutes to do this. That will end calls for the day. We check the messages, come back to our guest, and then we'll say thank you for the day.
Okay. We have this one from Kayode Ulumide. Professor Bamgbose, do you think any governor stepping up as soon as this ones leave office would want to look into that 25 years of imprisonment rather than achieving what they personally have as their own agendas or call it proposals? So what had stopped them to, at least for once, give good governance before now, and even not owning up to responsibility? Most of our roads are no more functional. The farmers at Serikishotayo on Macpherson University are complaining about the neglect of their road to Abeokuta. Okay.
I have a message for the people. Please, we have that responsibility to be optimistic. I want to see the cup half full and to say half empty. And let me say this: every nation, every state, every country they get the kind of leadership they deserve. We must be sensitive. We must take our destiny in our hands by electing, progressive, visionary, good people into position. Then, for the governor, kudos to them. I want them to keep the flag flying. That decision to develop a plan is a good thing. But let me say this: they must look at how they can develop a very good plan, a plan that will stand the test of time, a plan that it will be sellable, a plan that will be achievable. That will have timeline, that will have programs, and that will have achievable, programs. Now, I also want, our people to buy into it. Let us turn this program to the financial world. Don't let us think that government will run business. Let's give it to experts, to people that have the wherewithal. I see a better day for our Western Nigeria and for Nigeria.
All right. Let me only add that for somebody or people who thinks like a state-owned agency like OPIC, Ogun State Property and Investment Corporation, will now be dissolved into the Western Nigeria, whatever it is. I don't think that's the plan, is it?
No, no,
And
no.
that is that. We'll still have our peak.
Topic,
Okay,
yes.
we'll fund everything about done,
Parastatals will be
everything
there.
about Western Nigeria will grow on the soil, will be grown on their own.
It's not going
Not
to
that
kill any
they are
existing
not going, no, they are not
parastatal.
will be consumed by any
No,
existing
no,
one,
no.
and they begin to change names. So don't worry, the Ota, Aton, Igbesa, Guangdong, whatever we have in the state remains as Ogun State departments and agencies that will give money to the state. We appreciate you. We appreciate your concern. We understand your concern and appreciate your involvement in the program today. We say big thank you to everybody, and of course to our guest, Professor David Femi Bamgbose.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for sparing us the time. And tomorrow, by the grace of God, we'll be back fresh and brighter. Dele Ayodo is my name. I say God bless you all. God bless Nigeria and God bless Rock City.
And I
God
am
bless
Chienye
Western Nigeria.
saying good morning, and
Well,
let's continue to promote peace and unity
God,
and
God,
live
God
together
bless
as
Western.
one.
God bless Western Nigeria.